Hi, everybody. Welcome to Uptown Bills on this Thursday night open mic. I'm not Tom, my name is Maya, and I'm talking to you tonight. So, yeah. So, Uptown Bills is named for the guy with the beard in the picture behind me. His name is Bill Sachter, and he came to Iowa City after spending 40 years in a mental institution in Minnesota. And he came with Barry and Bev Morrow, who he met while living in Minnesota. And when they got here, it was really hard to find Bill a job. And so they were trying all of these different career possibilities that Bill could do. And they didn't really have a lot of luck until Barry suggested, well, you like coffee, so maybe you should do a coffee shop. And so Bill was like, okay. And so they started this coffee shop called Wild Bill's, which is still around today. And the coffee shop did really well, and so once it started doing well and picking up, Barry decided that he would publicize the story of Bill's life and his journey to Iowa City and to Wild Bill's because it was doing so well, and one thing led to another, and his life became the subject of two movies, Bill and Bill on His Own. And once these movies were out in the world, Bill got really popular, and everyone wanted to come and see the real Bill in Iowa City in the flesh at Wild Bill's, which just, made the coffee shop do all the better. And even after Bill died, the coffee shop stuck around, and so Uptown Bill's kind of evolved out of Wild Bill's. We are the crosstown cousin, as some call it. And so we do a whole lot of things here, including this open mic night, which will start right now. So, yeah. Should I introduce? Yay! Okay, Terry's going first.
Yay, Terry. Hey, how you doing tonight? Good, that's good to hear. All right, that's it for the night. Thank you very much. No, just kidding. Thanks, Tom. He's the host with the most, or the host with the toast. I don't know. Does a great job. Emily does a great job. Our new host does a great job. I forgot your name. Got to put my seatbelt on. We might get a little bit crazy tonight. My name's Terry Shaw from Washington. I'm a chess player. I'm rated with the United States Chess Federation. I am a card-carrying member. Chess is really exciting. I just got back from Minnesota, and I played in the U.S. Senior Open, most prestigious chess tournament I've ever been in. We stayed on the dorms of St. Olaf College, which is really cool. It's in the town of Northfield, Minnesota, and being a Jesse James and fan as I am, even my email address expresses Jesse James sentiments. Northfield is where Jesse James tried to rob the bank, the Great Northfield Raid. So I've been to the town and the place that Jesse James got murdered in, Platteville, Missouri. There's a monument right outside of Adair, Iowa. I saw in Ragbri one time, and the monument says, "This is the place that the James Younger gang robbed the first train west of the Mississippi, outside of Adair, Iowa." I'm kind of proud of that, and I don't know why. So when I went to this chess tournament, stopped at the bank that they tried to rob, which is really cool because it's still there. It's now a museum. All sorts of pictures and actually some of the actual guns that from Clell Miller and some other people that got killed, whatever. But anyway, so that was on my bucket list, and fortunately I got to play in a really cool chess tournament and go to see the bank that Jesse James tried to rob. That's my story. about some music? This song by Lucinda Williams. Once we rode together in a metal firecracker. You told me I was your king. You told me I was your biker. You told me I was your everything. Once I was in your world and you were obsessed with me. You wanted to paint my picture. You wanted to undress me. You wanted to see me in your future. And all I ask is don't tell anybody the secrets. Don't tell anybody the secrets I told you. Once you held me so tight, I thought I'd lose my mind. You said I rocked your world. You said it was for all time. You said that I would always be your man. We put on ZZ Top and we teared them up real loud. We used to be so strong. We used to be so proud. We used to think that nothing would go wrong. And all I ask is don't tell anybody the secrets. Don't tell anybody the secrets. Don't tell anybody the secrets I told you. Thank you. When Daddy told me what happened, I couldn't believe what he just said. Son, he shot himself with a 44, and they found him laying on the bed. I could not speak a single word, no tears streamed down my face. I just sat alone on the living room couch, staring off into space. Mom and Daddy went over to the house to see what had to be done. They took the sheets off of the bed and they went and called someone. Some of us gathered at a friend's house to help each other ease the pain. I just sat alone in a corner chair. I couldn't say much of anything. We drove out onto the country. His friends all stood around. Subiaco Cemetery is where we laid him down. Besides mama, she was standing there. His sister, she was there too. I saw him looking, standing all around the grave, and not a soul they knew. Born and raised in Pineola, his mama believed in a Pentecost. She got the preacher to say a few words so his soul wouldn't get lost. She got the preacher to say a few words so his soul wouldn't get lost. Some of us stood in silence, some bowed their heads and prayed. I think I must have picked up a handful of dust and let it fall into his grave. I think I must have picked up a handful of dust and let it fall into his grave. Thank you. Tom's a great host. That was another one by Lucinda Williams. When I first saw Lucinda at the Vic in Chicago, she opened up with that song. And one thing that she said when I saw her in Des Moines with my daughter is, if I don't experience it, I don't write it. So I kind of like that philosophy. The clock says it's time to close now. Guess I'd better go now. I'd really like to stay here all night. The cars crawl by all stuffed with eyes. Street lights shed their hollow glow. Your brain seems bruised with numb surprise. Still one place to go. Let me sleep all night in your soul kitchen. Warm my mind by your gentle stove. Turn me out and I wander, baby, shuffling through the neon grows. Your fingers weave quick minarets. You speak in secret alphabet. You light another dubaret. Learn to forget. Learn to forget. Learn to forget. Learn to forget. Let me sleep all night in your soul kitchen. Warm my mind by a gentle stove. Warm me out and I turn time, baby, shuffling through the neon groves. Yo. The clock says it's time to close now. I guess I better go now. I'd really like to stay here all night. All night. All night. That's Soul Kitchen by the Doors.
All right, thank you, Terry. And thanks again to Maya for introducing us tonight. We'll give her a little applause. Also helping us out tonight, Emily, who was just roaming around taking pictures a moment ago. And new to us tonight is Deb, who's sitting at the table here. She's checking us out and hopefully will be volunteering. Ayana, who's usually here, is homesick. She sounded like there was somebody in her nose when she called today. So, and our feature performer, Elizabeth, is here already. Hey, very good. Okay. We do this every Thursday night. We start at 7 o'clock. Next week, our featured performer is a new CD. It's local fiddle player and a group called New Broom, and it's supported by the Iowa Arts Council. So this should be great fun. If you're interested in signing up, there was space on the August 10th calendar, and that's up by the pop cooler. So Al Murphy is the fiddle player. By the way, I forgot to say that. He'll be here next week along with New Broom. So that should be a terrific evening. Let's see, I wanted to also say that on Saturday afternoon, it's the 5th Saturday of the month, and when we have 5 Saturdays, we do a community Shakespeare. So this week, we're reading together Love's Labour's Lost. See if you can figure out where all the apostrophes go in that title. But it's a cool story. 4 guys get together, promise they're not going to get married for at least 3 years. And then each of them meets someone, and they decide, well, we really ought to get married now. So the women get together and say, we're not going to get married for at least a year. Therein lies the plot. It's a fun comedy. You don't have to have any theater background or anything to come and be a part of this and read. You can read one character. You can read parts of different things. It's just a lot of fun. So that's Saturday afternoon at 2, and Saturday night is our annual Woody Guthrie tribute night. We've had a couple people cancel, so we're looking for a couple more people who'd like to sing 2 or 3 Woody Guthrie songs. That starts at 7 o'clock. If you're interested in knowing more about these and other things, there is a calendar on the little table by the door. And for those of you watching, you can go to our website, uptownbills.org, and find out more. Let's get on with the show. We have Joey, who's here, has got a poem for us, I think, tonight, right? Yep. Okay, shorter than Beowulf, but he said it's long. Yes. Okay, come on up. He's getting the stool. And let's have another bicycle joke. This is the week of Ragbri, of course, so bicycle jokes are in. What do you call a sculptor who works with bicycle parts?
I don't know.
Cycleangelo. Okay. Go ahead, sit yourself down and we'll adjust to suit you, and then we're going to move this music
Yeah, I definitely need that out of the way. Thanks. Let's see. Good evening. My name is Joey Westlink. I am a local aspiring writer for here in Iowa City, which is a pretty good opportunity for me. Anyway, I have one poem tonight to read. It's the longest one I've written so far. It's, again, like any other poem I've written, not done yet. So hey, let's continue the trend. Let's see. This is a there. Some of the stuff maybe you won't understand, but I apologize in advance if you don't. Sorry. Anyway, the poem's called See You in the Next Video. And now I lay my weary head upon my pillow to mellow my thoughts and worries after a roller coaster day of Let's Plays. I created some laughs for the masses to enjoy. I mandated my frustrations towards the games I played for the crowd to enjoy. And I shrieked animated words no one could translate as the beast, not from the east, ended the poor sap that was me on the virtual screen that sits and illuminates before my eyes. Oh well, I guess I'll have to try again with new rejuvenation in the next video. But for now, the pillow that is shaped like an armadillo has my attention. As Dreamland beckons the hero of human affection, it beckons the friendly elected king of the squirrels to bask in the warmth that Dreamland beholds. It beckons, it beckons, it beckons. Me to someplace that was not my destination of perfection. For you see, I am not in Dreamland, ladies and gents. I am in a familiar nightmare. Oh, perfect timing. That brings to me memories of frustration and jubilation for me. It is a forest that holds a sharp-dressed monster like no other, a monster that has summoned me to this forest to play a game that not even the infernal demon from Elm Street could tame. I swore I would never return to this forest that holds many hours of playtime for me, but here I am, and at least it is a familiar place. For you see, this place that stands before me, I have visited before in a world of zeros and ones, a world of dead trees and leaves that make a sound of potato chips being stepped on, a world that is of darkness and dread. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I am in his domain now, and I must play his video game with a flashlight that is so lame. I do proclaim the douchiness with what I must do to perfect his game, and that is collect the 8 pages he rages about constantly. And I must move quickly and find what he desires, for I feel his slender fingers are upon my throat, which the survivor requires to scream when my game expires. Why must I gather these infernal items once again in the realm of dreams? While the pale gentleman of the night schemes about how to write my requiem in my own dreams. I venture deeper into the forest and begin my quest with just a flashlight and no moon to guide me in this cuckoo's nest of a test. I look to my left and to my right, and the only thing I see that counts as paper are trees that are forever at ease without the breeze to savor the flavor. For this player so desires a cool breeze to aid in the labor he must endure. Or how about at least a deer to peer from behind the tree to show this is not a dream? Then again, maybe not. For if this is a dream, the deer's veneers will be fangs to tear my rear. And that'll be a jeer, I swear. So far no deer, but still no pages, which has given me the case of the rage that I don't think could be contained by Nicolas Cage. What do I see right now but more trees and... Did that branch just move? My eyes disapprove of that groove as an avalanche of sweat beads down my neck. Wait, this can't be right because I don't have a page, and he can't attack until I have one page. Video game logic. Which I lack, Max, so I turn my light left and right to examine where my intruder went before I make flight. In the twilight, I hear the snap of a twig. Wait, that can't be right, for I still have no page to calm his rage. So why is he wigging out, I must confess? This just makes no sense. But then again, my dreams or nightmares rarely make sense. Hence, I must stop being tense and find my precious frankincense known as those 8 pages. So I head towards the abandoned truck in the forest without questioning why there is a truck in the middle of a forest. Because Oh, because I know a page will be there, but I might be pressing my luck according to most sage advice. I walk around the truck and why no page? But I still hear footsteps coming closer with a heavy thud. Wait. Did my pale tormentor gain weight? Because that step almost sounds like, wait. I hear a low, taunting laugh that can't be right for this place, for it's a laugh that sounds like Jabba out and about. No, it can't be. I say to myself as my heart rate inflates to rapid rates. I start to increase my pace to stay ahead of this race that is about to begin between me and the metal monstrosity that belongs in that distasteful pizzeria, and not in this forest that belongs to the tailored demon so thin that he would make Oogie Boogie look trim. Must run faster. I wish I had a blaster instead of this flashlight. Must run faster in order to outlast that master of disaster and his crew who screwed with yours truly on many occasions while I sweated profusely in the chair of that security office that was part of their lair of scares. The bear and the rest of his animal-themed foursome are spooky, don't doubt that. In fact, they are so spooky that Scooby and the gang would meddle at Old Man Jenkins again, then be near the pizzeria of broken dreams and tragedy. Will I get away? Will I be astray forever in this forest of monsters and horrors I couldn't begin to explain? I guess I'll find out in the next video. That's it. And thank you, and whoever's next up, the floor is yours. Have a good evening, tip your waitress.
All right, thank you very much, Joy. Thinking about a nightmare. You know what the definition of a nightmare is? Nightmare, it's a horse that stays out late. So, you can use that, sure, if you'd like. All right, and I wanted to say, Terry mentioned being at St. Olaf, which is where Barry went to college. Barry Morrow, who's pictured here on the right with the tie. Barry was Bill's friend, and he's the person who wrote the screenplay of the Bill movies and then went on to a career in screenwriting. His best-known screenplay is Rain Man, and he's just finished a new one called Smitten. It's a romantic comedy. Don't know much more about it than that, but sometime the next year it'll be in theaters near you. Anyway, quick story, and then we'll have Elizabeth up. Barry did not quite finish at St. Olaf. He thought he was done. The college said, no, you're not done. And so he was at the University of Minnesota, which is where I met him, and he was taking a few credits there, and I was doing some graduate work. And again, he thought he was done, and St. Olaf said no. So he stormed out, didn't go back. Years later, after the Bill movies had come out, they called him and said, and I think maybe even after Rain Man, and they called and said, listen, would you like to finish your degree? And he's telling me the story, and I said, well, you know why they thought that? He said, yeah, they thought I had a lot of money, and it would be great to have an alum, you know. So, but he said, I said, yes, sure, why not? And they said, well, looks like you need 2 more credits, so why don't you send us a script or something? So he sent a script in, and he said it came back just like an English paper, all marked up, you know, with notes and comments on it. And they said, well, that's it. You're going to graduate. Would you like to come to graduation? And he said, well, sure. He said, I get there, and it's just me. They got the whole pomp and circumstance and, you know, the faculty and the funny outfits just for me. So he said, I go up on stage, and I'm thinking the president or maybe the academic dean is going to give me my diploma. And he said, this really old woman comes out. And he looks and he says, oh, no, that's the woman who told me no years ago that I hadn't finished. So she walks out, hands him his diploma. Does she say congratulations or good job or anything? Nope. She says, it's about time, and walks off. And Barry graduated. All right, we have a real treat now. We have Elizabeth Devlin here from Brooklyn by way of Minneapolis, which is where she was last couple days. Yeah. So come on up and let's get you set. By the way, folks, if you're watching us, now's a good time to go to the fridge while we get set up. And be sure to come back. All right. What would you like? You want to stand? Do you want to? Whatever you'd like. We have. Okay. All right. We'll move these out of the way. Oh, for Oh, okay. Is that enough use? Could she sign it then?
That's right.
Terry controls who gets to sign the,
Oh, okay.
Need your autograph.
So because I'm putting my beverage on it, I can put my name on it as well?
That's right, yes.
I wish that was the case with cars and
oh,
titles of land and you just put your drink on it and it's yours.
now you're using our,
Sign your name.
you-
Pretend you own it.
you've got our mic stand with more moving parts than any possible one. That's a new one for us. It was a gift. But my gosh, it's got all these different ways of doing things. So-
I'm well versed in the
Okay,
land of
all right.
mic moving.
All right.
If I was a musician, I was a mic mover.
All right, you can come back now if you've been to the fridge. We have a little pre-show here on mic moving going on.
Let's bring this over here. Hopefully you don't get any. Yep. Move this down here. Just bring this back. Yeah. Don't want to live on the edge. All right.
The person who made the fireplace for us is also an autoharp player.
Oh. Very nice. Is that person here right now?
Not that I know.
Oh.
I believe she's in Minneapolis, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Well, hopefully she's watching. I like to try and meet all the autoharp players out there, being that there's so few of us.
Small but sturdy band.
It's a very small but very nurturing community, the autoharp community. Oh, my voice has a tendency to get a little on the loud side, so I'm just gonna kind of move this.
Further away.
Okay.
If the mics are too close, they tend to talk to each other.
I know. I've been working on that with the mics. They're just way too talkative sometimes. So hello, good evening. This is my first time in Iowa City. Thank you very much. And hello to anyone out there watching. My name is Elizabeth Devlin, as Tom said. I play the autoharp and I'm on tour from Brooklyn, New York. I am touring in support of an album that I released in February of this year. I'm headed out to Denver and back. I'll slip away as you were sleeping. Bring something from my have you take my stride, my sacred sacrament, my bitter heart's lament, my dulcet rumbling voice, my bill, my choice, my right, my bite, my starlit supple nights. In me I purpose, in you I take rest, my time, my melancholy ploy, be my joy. So I was enjoying looking over all the photographs here of Bill. Looks like he was quite a character. And I think probably everyone has a Bill in their lives at one point or another. He looks like a guy that I know. A guy who plays the autoharp, actually. Well, Thank you. So it's a lot of the places that I've been visiting and that I will visit over this Midwestern tour are places that I'm going to for the first time. And it's wonderful to just gain a deeper knowledge of this area of the country. But also, I have really been enjoying the weather. It's so green and so lush and it's so mild, it's not too hot. In New York, everyone's probably like passed out on the sidewalk in a puddle of sweat, covered in dirt, feeling miserable because they just worked a 60-hour week. And out here, everyone seems so happy and relaxed. I'm thinking, oh, this is really nice. And then someone pointed out to me, they said, this is the best time to be here. They said, in 2 months, a cloud will ascend over the sky, and it will be there for the next 8 months. I was like, oh, okay, so I guess I came at just the right time to your beautiful part of the country. I think I'm getting spoiled by the weather. It's lovely here. So this next song is actually a song that I wrote when I was in a very cold region. I had taken the train from New York to Montreal in January. Well, it was at the end of December. And I had celebrated New Year's with some friends of mine up in Montreal, and then I was taking the train back. I highly recommend that as a trip if you ever can do it. It's beautiful, the ride from New York up to Montreal. It's particularly if you can do it in the fall when the leaves are changing. But during this particular time, it was cold and it was dark, and passing over the border check, they turn off the whole train. So that includes the heat. And you're waiting for the Canadian border crossing to go through the train and check everyone's passports, which normally is fine, the heat holds. But on this one particular time, there was someone on the train that wasn't supposed to be there. So we ended up sitting in the train for over 2 hours, and by the end, I was in my coat and like huddled like this with my autoharp. But in any case, on the continuance of that ride, I ended up writing this song. I'm sure you all know how it looks when a lake is frozen, but the lake is so deep that the underlying part of it is still moving. It creates a cracking in the ice, and it almost makes the lake appear to be breathing. And that was something that I encountered on that trip that I found to be particularly inspiring and very beautiful. Ripple the pleasure of working with a couple different musicians who I really admire on this album that I just released. On this next song, well, I'm actually going to play two songs. The first one is called Wedding Song, and it is an instrumental piece that I wrote for two friends of mine who were getting married, and they came to me and they said, can you please write us something to play at our wedding that will be a non-traditional song instead of Here Comes the Bride. So that's what I'll start with. And then the next song is actually, it's a duet. I'll be singing both parts this evening, but it's a duet that I sing with a really incredible musician, singer-songwriter, and composer who's based out of Paris. His name is Michael Wookie, and he sings with me on this one, and it's really quite lovely. So if y'all, I do have CDs for sale this evening. If you are watching at home and you are interested in my music, I'm accessible on the internet at elizabethdevlinmusic.com, and all of my music is available on Bandcamp as well. It can be purchased there. So this is Wedding Song, followed by Take My Life. people out there watching in TV land, it is time to say goodbye and good night. Tom, thank you very much for having me. Thank you to the spirit of Bill for being here, and thank you all for being here with me in real time, in reality. Have a good night, y'all. Okay. All right.